They told me the job was simple. Test a vault security, get paid, and walk away. But they didn't mention the rules, or the fact that no one before me ever walked out alive. Hi, welcome to Unexpected Horrors, where we dive into tales that blur the line between reality and nightmare. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on notifications if you love unsettling stories that stay with you long after the lights go out. Now, let's begin. Alex Carter wasn't the kind of person who believed in luck, good or bad. For most of their 28 years, life had been a series of calculated risks and hard-won survival. A freelance locksmith by trade, Alex specialized in high-security systems, a career born from equal parts fascination and necessity. Growing up in a rough neighborhood where locked doors meant the difference between safety and tragedy, Alex learned early on how to manipulate tumblers and bypass deadbolts. What started as a survival skill evolved into an obsession with cracking puzzles. On the surface, Alex was unremarkable. Average height, lean but wiry, with perpetually scuffed boots and a jacket that had seen too many winters. Their demeanor was practical, almost clinical, masking a sharp intellect and an insatiable curiosity. But beneath that composed exterior was a restless energy, the kind that drove them to take on jobs others wouldn't touch. The job offer from Victor Halstead, however, wasn't just unusual. It was downright surreal. It had started with an email, cryptic and to the point. "Mr. Carter, your reputation precedes you. I have a challenge that requires your particular skill set. Payment is substantial. Discretion is mandatory." Attached was a non-disclosure agreement and a contract detailing a fee so exorbitant, Alex thought it had to be a scam. $50,000 for a single night's work? The only catch? They'd have to travel to Halstead Manor, an estate infamous for its reclusive billionaire owner. Halstead's name carried weight in certain circles. Tech mogul, inventor, and collector of rare artifacts, his fortune was matched only by his eccentricity. Rumors surrounded the man, tales of secret projects, strange experiments, and a penchant for testing people in ways that bordered on sadistic. Still, Alex wasn't one to shy away from a challenge, especially one that promised to solve their mounting financial problems in a single stroke. Their curiosity outweighed their caution as they packed their tools and boarded the train to Halstead Manor. The estate loomed in the distance as Alex's cab rattled down the long, tree-lined driveway. It was an architectural marvel, a sprawling mansion blending Victorian Gothic with sleek modernism. The main house was perched atop a hill, surrounded by fog that clung to the grounds like an unshakable presence. When Alex stepped out of the cab, a sharp chill cut through their jacket. A man in a black suit who introduced himself as Everett greeted them at the massive oak doors. Everett's face was unreadable, his movements precise. "Mr. Halstead is expecting you," he said, his tone clipped. Alex was led through winding corridors that seemed to defy logic. The air grew colder the deeper they went, and the faint hum of machinery vibrated through the floor. Finally, they reached a room dominated by a massive steel door, a vault unlike anything Alex had ever seen. Halstead stood beside it, a tall, silver-haired man with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see through people. He extended a hand, his grip firm but oddly cold. "Mr. Carter," Halstead said, his voice smooth but unsettling, "you've impressed many with your talents. Tonight, you'll have the chance to impress me." Alex raised an eyebrow. "And what exactly do you want me to do?" Halstead's lips curled into a faint smile. "Test the security of my vault. Solve the puzzles within, navigate the system, and prove that my creation is impenetrable." Alex glanced at the vault, noting the intricate network of gears, biometric scanners, and what appeared to be a digital interface embedded in the steel. It was a locksmith's dream and nightmare. "And the rules?" Alex asked. Halstead's smile widened. "Ah, yes, the rules." He handed Alex a small card, the text printed in crisp black letters. 1. Do not try to open the vault without permission. 2. Follow the whispers if you hear them. 3. If you see someone else inside, do not speak to them. 4. The vault must be exited within 12 hours, or you'll never leave. Alex frowned. "What happens if I break one of these rules?" Halstead's expression didn't change, but there was a flicker of something dark in his eyes. "I wouldn't recommend finding out." Once the briefing was over, Halstead gestured for Everett to lead Alex to the entrance. As the vault's massive door creaked open, Alex felt an inexplicable sense of unease. The interior was stark and metallic, lit by a cold, white light that seemed to suck the warmth out of the air. Everett handed Alex a small backpack containing water, a flashlight, and a notepad. "You'll need these," he said curtly, then stepped back as the door began to close. "Wait," Alex said, turning to Halstead. "What's actually inside this thing?" Halstead simply smiled. The truth. Before Alex could press further, the door sealed shut with a deafening clang, plunging them into silence. Alone in the vault, Alex took a deep breath, their heart pounding. They flicked on the flashlight and scanned their surroundings. The first chamber was a small, empty room with smooth steel walls. The floor beneath them vibrated faintly, as if the vault itself was alive. "Okay, Alex," they muttered to themselves. "You've dealt with worse." But as they moved deeper into the vault, it became clear this wasn't just a test of technical skill. The air felt heavier, and a low hum reverberated through the walls, almost like a heartbeat. Then they heard it. A faint whisper, barely audible over the hum. "Follow us." Alex froze, their flashlight beam darting across the walls. The whisper came again, this time clearer. It seemed to echo from deeper within the vault. Remembering Rule 2, Alex hesitated before taking a cautious step forward. "You've got this," they whispered to themselves, trying to ignore the creeping sense of dread. As they advanced, the whispers grew louder, guiding them toward a narrow hallway. At the end of the corridor stood a door with a keypad, its surface scratched and worn. Alex crouched to inspect it, their minds switching to problem-solving mode. But just as they began deciphering the keypad's sequence, they felt it. A presence behind them. Turning slowly, Alex saw a shadowy figure at the edge of the flashlight's beam. The figure didn't move, didn't speak, but its outline was unmistakably human. "Don't speak to it," Alex whispered, clutching the flashlight tighter. They took a shaky step back, keeping their eyes locked on the figure. The figure tilted its head as if studying them, then vanished into the shadows. Alex's breath hitched, and they fought the urge to run. They didn't know what they'd gotten themselves into, but one thing was clear. This was no ordinary vault, and Halstead's rules were more than just guidelines. This was a game, a deadly one, and Alex was now its unwilling participant. The silence inside the vault was suffocating. Alex's breathing echoed faintly off the steel walls, a sound that should have been mundane, but now felt foreign and too loud. With the shadowy figure gone, if it had ever truly been there, Alex turned their attention back to the keypad on the door. The scratches weren't random. Each mark seemed intentional, forming faint patterns that might have been a clue. Alex ran a hand through their hair, forcing their mind to focus. They'd been in high-pressure situations before, but this was different. It wasn't just the puzzles or the eerie whispers. It was the vault itself, a place that seemed to breathe, its mechanical hum vibrating through the floor, through their bones. "This is fine," Alex muttered to themselves. Talking aloud helped calm the growing anxiety clawing at their chest. "Just another job. Figure out the sequence, move on to the next room, get painful." The keypad's numbers were worn but faintly sticky, as though someone or something had used it recently. Alex retrieved the flashlight from their backpack, illuminating the pad. On closer inspection, 4 of the numbers, 2, 5, 8, and 0, appeared more worn than the others. 4 numbers, Alex whispered, biting their lip. But what order? They examined the scratches again, tracing patterns with their eyes. Suddenly, they noticed something, a faint series of smudges on the steel wall beside the keypad. It was subtle, but it formed a looping pattern, almost like an infinity symbol. 2805? Alex guessed. The moment their fingers pressed the last button, the door clicked open with an audible hiss, releasing a burst of cold, stale air. The next room was larger, its walls lined with mirrors that distorted Alex's reflection. The mirrors weren't just decorative, they were angled in ways that created an endless labyrinth of overlapping images. At the center of the room sat a pedestal with an old, leather-bound book. Alex hesitated, glancing at the rules Halstead had given them. Nothing specifically warned against touching objects, but after the figure from earlier, they weren't taking unnecessary risks. Still, the book called to them. As they approached, the whispers returned, faint and fragmented. "Don't look away." Alex froze, gripping the flashlight tightly. Their eyes darted to the mirrors, but nothing seemed out of place, just warped versions of themselves staring back. The book had no title, only a clasp that opened easily. Inside, the pages were filled with scrawled handwriting, jagged and desperate. You are not the first. You will not be the last. Obey the rules, or it will consume you. The whispers grew louder, overlapping and chaotic, their words unintelligible but urgent. Alex's head snapped up, and they realized with a chill that the reflections in the mirrors were no longer mimicking their movements. Don't look away. The voice was clearer now, and Alex finally understood its warning. The reflections had shifted, their eyes too bright, their expressions slightly wrong. They weren't reflections anymore. Alex backed toward the pedestal, never taking their eyes off the mirrors. They could feel the presence in the room growing, pressing down like an invisible weight. Think, Alex, they muttered. The book had to be the key. Ignoring the mirrors as best as they could, Alex flipped through the pages, scanning for anything useful. One entry caught their eye. When the mirrors stop, so do you. The meaning was cryptic, but it was all they had. Slowly, Alex began turning in place, moving toward the next door. The reflections in the mirrors moved with them, mimicking their steps, but always a split second too late. It felt like hours before Alex reached the door. They gripped the handle, praying it would open, but it was locked. Of course. Okay, think, Alex whispered, their voice shaking. On the wall beside the door was a brass lever. Taking a deep breath, Alex yanked it downward. The mirrors instantly went dark, leaving the room in complete silence. For a moment, Alex thought they were safe, until they heard the footsteps. The sound was faint but unmistakable, slow, deliberate steps approaching from behind. Alex spun around, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. The mirrors were black now, but the space behind them wasn't empty. Shadowy forms moved in the darkness, their outlines barely visible. Stay calm, Alex whispered, backing toward the door. The lever had triggered something. A faint clicking sound echoed through the room, followed by the groan of mechanical gears. Slowly, the door creaked open. Alex didn't wait to see what was coming. They bolted into the next room, slamming the door shut behind them. The third room was even stranger. It looked like a study, complete with a desk, bookshelves, and an antique clock ticking softly on the wall. The air was warmer here, almost inviting, but Alex didn't trust it. What kind of vault is this? Alex muttered, wiping sweat from their brow. On the desk lay a stack of papers, neatly arranged. The top page caught Alex's attention. It was another set of rules. 1. Do not touch the clock. 2. Do not sit in the chair. 3. Do not open the left drawer. Alex groaned. More rules. Great. The whispers returned, softer now but more insistent. They seemed to come from all directions, blending into the faint ticking of the clock. Alex scanned the room, looking for the next clue. There was another door on the far side, but it was locked. No lever, no keypad this time, just a simple keyhole. The left drawer, Alex guessed, eyes darting to the desk. The rule explicitly warned against opening it, which almost guaranteed that's where the key was. This is a trap, Alex muttered. But what choice did they have? The clock ticked louder, its rhythm growing faster, more erratic. Alex hesitated, then reached for the drawer, heart pounding. As soon as their fingers touched the handle, the whispers screamed. The room shifted, the walls stretching and twisting like they were alive. The clock's ticking became deafening, and the chair at the desk began to move, sliding toward Alex as though pulled by an unseen force. Let go, the whispers hissed. Alex yanked their hand back, stumbling away from the desk. The whispers quieted, and the room returned to normal, or as normal as it could be in a place like this. Not the drawer, Alex muttered, backing away. Their eyes darted to the bookshelves, scanning the spines for anything out of place. One book, a faded red volume, stood out. Unlike the others, its cover was blank, and it seemed newer somehow. Worth a shot, Alex said, pulling it free. The book was heavier than expected, and when they opened it, a small brass key fell out, clinking onto the floor. Bingo. Alex grabbed the key and rushed to the door, ignoring the faint creak of the chair behind them. They didn't look back as they unlocked the door and stepped into the next room. The whispers faded as the door slammed shut behind them, leaving Alex in eerie silence once again. They leaned against the wall, catching their breath. The vault was unlike anything they'd ever encountered, and they had the sinking feeling it was far from over. Halstead's words echoed in their mind. Obey the rules or face the consequences. So far so good, Alex muttered, trying to convince themselves. But as they stared into the darkness ahead, the whispers began again, faint but familiar, and this time they sounded like they were laughing. Chapter 3: The Final Test. The air grew colder as Alex stepped into the next chamber, their breath fogging in the dim light. The room was cavernous, far larger than the others, with high, shadowy ceilings that disappeared into darkness. At the center stood a massive mechanical structure, a monolithic cube made of interlocking gears and plates, its surface pulsating faintly, as if it were alive. Alex's instincts screamed to turn back, but there was no other exit. The whispers were stronger now, louder, and overlapping in an unintelligible cacophony. The words felt like they were clawing at the edges of Alex's mind. "Focus," Alex whispered, tightening their grip on the flashlight. They approached the cube cautiously, noting a small console embedded in its side. A screen flickered to life as they drew near, displaying a single line of text: "Welcome to the endgame." Before Alex could process the message, the screen changed, showing another set of rules. 1. Choose only one path. 2. The wrong choice seals your fate. 3. Trust no one, not even yourself. Below the rules, 3 icons appeared: a key, a flame, and an eye. Alex frowned, their mind racing. Choose only one path. What does that mean? The cube emitted a low hum, and the floor vibrated beneath Alex's feet. They took a step back, scanning the room for clues. The walls were lined with strange symbols, spirals, triangles, and unfamiliar glyphs that seemed to shift when viewed out of the corner of the eye. 3 paths, Alex muttered, looking back at the screen. Key, flame, eye. Each symbol seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive. The whispers had quieted now, replaced by a deep, rhythmic thrum that matched the cube's vibrations. The key was the most logical choice. It represented problem-solving, something Alex prided themselves on. But the flame felt more visceral, more primal, while the eye carried a strange sense of foreboding, as if it was watching Alex even now. Trust no one, not even yourself, Alex repeated under their breath. It wasn't just about picking a symbol, it was about what each choice represented. Alex's fingers hovered over the screen, torn between instinct and logic. Finally, they tapped the key. The cube groaned, its gears grinding as a panel slid open, revealing a narrow passageway. Without another option, Alex stepped inside, their flashlight casting long, flickering shadows. The passage led to another room, smaller and more claustrophobic. A table sat in the center, and on it were 3 objects: a golden key, a burning candle, and a small mirror. Alex's stomach churned. Another test? They approached the table cautiously, examining each item. The golden key was ornate, its surface etched with intricate patterns. The candle burned with an unnaturally steady flame, its wax untouched. But the mirror was what unsettled Alex the most. Its surface was polished to perfection, yet their reflection appeared wrong. It wasn't just their expression, which seemed twisted into a mocking grin. It was their eyes, which were darker and filled with malice. Alex tore their gaze away, heart pounding. "This place is messing with my head." A voice, deep, cold, and unmistakably real, broke the silence. "Choose wisely." Alex spun around, but the room was empty. The voice hadn't come from the whispers. It had come from the air itself, resonating like the vault was speaking. "What am I choosing?" Alex asked, their voice shaky. The voice didn't respond. Instead, the door behind them slammed shut, locking with a metallic hiss. Alex was trapped. The rules echoed in their mind. Choose only one path. The wrong choice seals your fate. The golden key seemed like the obvious answer, but the mirror's unsettling presence nagged at Alex. It felt important, as though it was challenging them to confront something they didn't want to face. "What do you want from me?" Alex shouted into the emptiness. The vault responded with silence, but the candle flickered, drawing Alex's attention. Its flame danced erratically, casting shadows that seemed to shift and writhe across the walls. Finally, Alex made a decision. They picked up the mirror, bracing themselves for whatever came next. The moment their fingers touched the mirror, the room dissolved into darkness. Alex stumbled, dropping the flashlight as the floor seemed to vanish beneath their feet. They were falling, not down, but sideways, or maybe upward. It was impossible to tell. When they landed, the world snapped back into focus. Alex was no longer in the vault, or at least not in the part they recognized. They were in a circular room, its walls covered in those same shifting symbols. At the center stood a figure, a perfect replica of Alex. down to the smallest detail. Except their reflection wasn't holding the mirror. It was holding the golden key. Alex's double smiled, their expression cold and predatory. "You should have chosen the key," it said, its voice dripping with malice. Alex stumbled back, panic rising. "What are you?" "I'm you," the double replied, stepping closer. "The part of you that you ignore, the part that knows the truth." The whispers returned, louder and more chaotic than ever. Alex clutched their head, trying to block them out, but the double kept speaking, its words cutting through the noise. "You came here thinking this was just a test, a puzzle to solve, but this vault isn't about logic, it's about you." "I don't understand," Alex said, their voice trembling. The double's grin widened. "Of course you don't. That's why you'll fail." The room began to collapse, the walls folding inward as the symbols burned brightly. Alex's mind raced. This wasn't just a vault. It was something far more sinister. A place designed to break people. "Trust no one, not even yourself," Alex whispered. Realization dawning. They turned to face their double, heart pounding. "You're not real." The double tilted its head. "Aren't I?" Alex closed their eyes, shutting out the whispers in the collapsing room. They focused on the rules, on the logic behind the chaos. The vault wasn't testing their skill. It was testing their resolve. When Alex opened their eyes, the double was gone. The room had returned to its original state, the symbols dormant once more. A final door appeared, its surface smooth and unmarked. Alex approached cautiously, their fingers trembling as they pushed it open. The light on the other side was blinding, and for a moment, Alex thought they were free. But as their vision adjusted, they realized they were back in the first room standing before Halstead. The billionaire's expression was unreadable, his piercing blue eyes studying Alex with unsettling intensity. "Congratulations," Halstead said, his voice calm. "You survived." Alex's legs nearly buckled. What was that?" "A test," Halstead replied, his smile faint but cold. "Not of your skill, but of your will. Most people fail. You didn't." Alex's hands balled into fists. "You almost got me killed." Halstead shrugged, as though the accusation was irrelevant. "You agreed to the terms, and now you'll be rewarded." Everett appeared, holding a briefcase. He opened it to reveal stacks of crisp bills. The sight made Alex's stomach turn. "Take it," Halstead said. "You've earned it." Alex hesitated, then grabbed the briefcase. They wanted to scream, to demand answers. But they knew it wouldn't matter. Halstead would never explain the true purpose of the vault. As Everett led Alex back to the mansion's entrance, they glanced over their shoulder. Halstead was still standing there, his cold smile never wavering. Outside, the fresh air hit Alex like a punch. They stumbled to their car, their mind racing with everything they'd experienced. The briefcase sat on the passenger seat, a heavy reminder of the nightmare they'd just endured. But as Alex drove away from Halstead Manor, a single thought consumed them. What happens to the ones who fail? If you enjoyed this story and want more chilling tales that keep you on the edge of your seat, make sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Have a theory about what's really going on in Halstead's vault or what happens to those who fail? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and remember, some doors are better left unopened. See you in the next story.